This is TWiT.
So my wife and a friend are looking to start their own podcast.
Oh, that's nice. That's great.
Yeah. And, you know, we've never done anything like this before. So our friend has the auto recording hardware. She's a radio producer.
Ah,
he's a musician.
Okay.
Yeah. And we also have, like, Audition to edit. But
what are they going to do? What's their podcast going to be?
It's something called Rockstar Science. They're actually trying to interview scientists.
Rockstar Science.
Within Hong Kong.
Love it.
And so it's kind of like it, and yeah.
So they'll be going, they won't be sitting at a desk. They'll be going out and interviewing people and bringing it back, editing it up in Audition, and packaging it together.
Yeah. I think it'll depend on availability. If they have a place they can do it, or, you know, because she has a small office space as well, so they could bring them all
So
there.
understand what a podcast is. It's an audio or video file. You know, that's where you begin. And the way it becomes a podcast, I mean, you could just put it on the internet, somebody could click it and download it. The only thing that distinguishes that from a podcast is this RSS feed. And the idea of the RSS feed is it's something that people can subscribe to. Software can check it periodically, typically hourly or daily. And if there's a new show, automatically download it. That's what makes it a podcast. Okay. That's the distinctive feature of a podcast. And it's one of the reasons I don't like the word podcast, because otherwise it's just a show.
It's an audio file. It's a video file.
Yeah, you're distributing on the internet, right?
Yeah.
But the RSS is kind of cool, and people do like that. Although we've noticed, in fact, lately we've been telling people subscribe, because most people we notice now are just clicking and downloading, or clicking and streaming, or watching us live. So it's important that you start with a website. I take it you've got that, right?
Yeah, Squarespace.
A good start. Somebody said you're a Squarespace developer?
Yes,
Nice.
I've built a few sites for a couple small SMEs.
Right. Between the three of you, you got all the tools you need.
I think so.
Great. This is great.
Let me ask you this, though. Does Squarespace have any podcasting features like plugins or anything?
No, not that I know of.
It's my watch. Jerry's looking around. I don't know how I stop this. It's making sounds. Honey, I'll call you later, okay? All right, well, that's a disadvantage, because what you've got to find, first of all, is you've got to find somewhere to store this that people are going to download it from. For instance, we use Cashfly, right? That's a CDN. But that could cost a lot of money, especially if suddenly their show is huge. Every single person who listens to your show costs you money, okay? Because it's a download. It's a different medium, a different model than radio or TV. Once you set up a TV or a radio antenna, 1 million people can watch, or one person can watch. It costs exactly the same. But this stream you're watching, if you're watching us live or if you're watching us, you have to download it. That's taking bandwidth. That's costing money.
So it's taxing someone else's servers to distribute it to you, and the more people listen to it.
It's kind of like a magazine, right? If you print a magazine, every single subscriber costs you money.
Yeah.
So that's something to be aware of. Now, there are services. There's Podomatic, there's Libsyn, there's Spreaker. There are services that will offer you bandwidth. And all three of those are designed for podcasts. In all three cases, they will also give you a website, and they have software on their website that will, there's Podomatic, that will generate the RSS feed automatically. The RSS feed's a little tricky because there is a standard RSS, but there's also iTunes, in their infinite wisdom, Apple expanded it, and it does more. So the RSS feed has to be generated specifically for podcasts. So you need some special software to do that. All three of those sites will do that automatically. There's also a number of extensions for our sponsor, WordPress. Same thing, you can set up a WordPress site and then run an extension that plug in for WordPress.
One of the easiest routes to go by.
Yeah, well, you're doing a podcast. How do you do yours?
Yeah, so I mean, it sounds like you're working with some pros here. You have one person who's a radio pro, another person who's a musician, and yourself being a web developer. That's a great trio. For those who maybe aren't as experts as you all are, a good place to start is SoundCloud. I'm making a podcast with a couple other friends.
And that's
called
free,
Buzzkill.
or mostly free.
It actually is free. So we host our podcast here on SoundCloud. It's just me and 2 other friends sitting around one mic, a blue mic Yeti, which is a beginner microphone because it does directional and omnidirectional.
Does it make an RSS feed for you?
It does. It makes the RSS feed for you. And it's like $20 a year once you get past about 10 episodes. So it's a good place to see if you even like doing these things.
There are a number of different tiers.
Yeah, there's lots of different tiers.
It's kind of like YouTube for audio, isn't it?
Exactly. Yeah, that's basically what it is.
YouTube's free, but then there's this issue of what's the picture going to be.
Now, the RSS feed on SoundCloud actually distributes out to TuneIn, to Google Play, to iTunes, to everything except for Spotify and Audible.
Okay.
For Spotify,
and those I know why that is. We had to make. We had to actually talk to Spotify and make a deal. You have to talk to Audible and make a deal. But normally, if you just have an RSS feed, somebody can use
basically everything else.
A podcast client and subscribe to it because it's just RSS.
As far as the software you're using, it's great that you already have Adobe Audition.
That's what we used for years.
That's fantastic. For those who maybe haven't spent the money on that sort of thing already, if you're using
Audacity's free.
Well, Audacity on Windows is great. That's a great place to start.
Or Linux or Mac.
Or GarageBand on the Mac. That's a free software as well. So you really can't go wrong with those. But if you've got Adobe Audition, it's fairly easy. There's going to be a little bit more of a learning curve, but once you really get into it, it's going to have a lot more options on how to level your audio, make it sound a little better, a little more polished, a little more professional. And if your friend's doing the radio stuff, they're definitely going to know how to use that.
Audition is what almost everybody in radio still uses. I used it for years. It was Cool Edit Pro. Adobe bought it, and it really is a great. It is overkill, but you know, you could do a lot, including, as I did in the earliest days of TWiT, take noise out. I spent a lot of time in Audition trying to denoise this stuff.
Yeah,
I think we've come a long way. It's a lot easier than
Audition has great plugins.
I love SoundCloud.
Logic has great plugins. GarageBand has great plugins. I actually found a recommendation for some great plugins from Jason Snell's website, 6 Colors.
Oh, neat.
And that was kind of a great place to get started with GarageBand, which is what we're using. Like I said, it's a free app. So, you know, really no matter what sort of budget you're in, there's a good place to get started.
So you've got to find somewhere to store it. You've got to find a way to make an RSS feed. And then even if you use SoundCloud, you still should have a website because that can still link back to SoundCloud. You could actually embed SoundCloud players on your website. It's really important that anything you do on the internet has a website attached with it. Obviously, you're going to use Squarespace.
Helps for SEO reasons as well.
And Squarespace will support SoundCloud plugins. So you could have your Squarespace blog. Here's our show. Here's what we interviewed. Here's pictures. And then right there, listen, and a button, and it's just SoundCloud. So SoundCloud's a really good idea.
Yeah.
That's perfect. Thank you so much, guys.
A lot of good choices. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. And just kind of an additional question is kind of like, you know, what are some rookie mistakes you kind of see being made with guys or people just starting out, and maybe what are some of your pet peeves with other podcasts?
Oh Lord, I could go on that one. Well, every mistake possible I've made, every one.
Well, I think
you're newer at this. You tell me.
I think one of the things to be willing to do, people kind of like authenticity, so just take them along that ride. Be whoever you are. So if your friends are new to this, say, hey, listen, this is who I am. I work in radio. This is who I am. I'm a musician. But we've never made a podcast before. So go along with us on this journey, and we're going to hit some bumps and bruises, but give us feedback and kind of be willing to experiment and not feel like you have to have a set format from day one. You know, kind of learn and grow with your audience. That being said, if you want people to actually listen to this thing, you have to deliver on a consistent basis. So if you say you're going to do it weekly, do it weekly. And this is you know, something definitely Leo can speak to. But being consistent, being engaged with whoever, whether you have 5 or 6 followers or you got thousands or millions, engage with them and be willing to take that feedback and that criticism, good or
So, Erin, are you the producer? You're not going to be on the show, but you're helping them out.
Yeah, I'll just be helping them out slightly. They'll actually be able to handle everything themselves. I'll probably just help them with the website.
When you do your podcast with Brian X. Chen and Mark Millian, do you do kind of what we do, try to do it all live to tape, or do you?
We do it in one take.
Two?
No,
one take.
we do it in one take.
That's kind of my advice too. I did the Lifehacker podcast a couple of days ago, and they were stopping and redoing it, and I thought I just feel sorry for the editor because So, and what you lose is energy. So it's okay if you make mistakes. It's authentic. It's real.
We make mistakes on the Buzzkill podcast all the time, and it, it's just being human. It's just being human.
Yeah.
And I think people kind of like to see that a little bit. Now, hopefully, you'll get better and you'll be more polished as time goes on. But that's kind of the realness that we're talking about that people are looking for.
I think that there's two kinds of styles. There's the NPR style, and because NPR has been so successful, and the NPR crew, the Planet Money crew with Serial, and as a result, there is that one style which is very edited, very polished. And
I'm a fan of that style.
Very perfect.
I like that. It's just not what I make.
It's a kind of podcast. And I think a lot of people, especially now starting out, because that's the most popular podcast, think, oh, that's how you do a podcast. And in my opinion, having done this since 2004, I far prefer the just people talking podcasts. And if your content's good, your passion is real, and understand you're never going to make any money at it. It's going to be, here's something I always tell people. If you were standing here in a room talking to 100 people, you'd be thrilled, right?
Yeah.
Wow, I got a great audience.
Yeah.
People, they do a podcast, they only have 500 listeners. They go, oh man, I'm never getting anywhere. You be happy. 100 people,
Yeah.
And if you can grow, if you can get to 1,000, that's considered to be the magic number where things might start to roll. It will never take off if you never get past 1,000. Once you get to 1,000, it might take off, no guarantees. And to be honest, if you want to sell advertising, you're talking 10, 20, 30,000. And a lot of the advertisers we talk to won't look at you unless you're 50,000 listeners.
Honestly,
so don't think about making money.
Yeah, when you're starting out, just make sure that it's fun for you. You're the one making it. The one that I do with a couple buddies, we're making podcasts that are about 25 to 30 minutes long. They're not the typical 1 hour, 2 hour long, podcast. That works for us. We want something a little shorter, a little punchier. And right now, we're not doing ads or anything. It's just fun versus what we're doing here at TWiT. Like
this is a business.
This is a business. It's a different thing.
And somebody in the chat room is saying that our friend Don McAllister at Screencasts Online has a 2-part series on podcasting that he found very helpful and inspirational. Don certainly knows his stuff. Screencastsonline.com. That might be one to
perfect. I'll look it up.
Yeah, and I could go on and on and on, but
yeah, we threw a lot of information at you here. Hopefully this helps. Does that help?
Yeah.
Yeah, it does. And I got a professional team recording it for me, so I can come back to it.
Man, you guys are golden. You're golden.
Have fun. What's the name going to be?
Thank you.
Rockstar Science?
Yes, that'll be the name.
I'll look for it.
Yeah, looking for it. Yeah, tweet us a link or something.
Send a message when it's out. Yeah, we'll do.
All right.
Thank you so much for your time, guys.
Anytime, Erin. Thank you.